What is up, everybody? Welcome to Freq Boutique number 44. 44. It's a pretty high number of episodes. And by episodes, I mean events and parties. And if you've never been to a Freq Boutique before, what we do is it is a modular synthesizer performance showcase. So we have 6 performers. Everybody's super rad. And we do 25-minute sets, 5-minute Q&A afterwards, so that way everybody can learn a little something. And we used to do it at a bar called Fort Greene here in Denver, Colorado. And we will be there as soon as we can. We'll be back at Fort Greene. But, why not just keep it going? We made the pivot. We've been online since March. And it has been super fun because we've gotten to expand our network and expand our community just beyond Denver. And that's been really awesome and just enlightening, I think, for all of us that are involved. So thank you all so much for being here. We have an awesome show tonight, so definitely stick around till the very end. Right now, first up, we have noise diffraction. Dude, that was wild. So good. Epically just bringing in the intro, just taking us to the next level before we even start. So that's amazing. Thank you, Isaac. Noise diffraction. What's going on? Can you hear me?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're really quiet. But actually, I think that's just me. No, we're good. That was just me. We're good.
Sorry, this is really awkward trying to hold my camera stand.
All right, well, we'll try to do this quick then. So you have the hybrid setup. You've got modular. You've got lots of hardware going on. I was curious to start out with Eurorack and modular stuff. What are some of the key modules that we were hearing in this set?
For modular stuff, so a lot of it was a lot of the leads that I was doing. I switched to using. I used to use it for like a lot of arpeggio type stuff, and then I switched to using it for a lot of lead voices for this particular set. And so all of the leads were the modular. And so the key kind of oscillator for that one is the qubit chord V2. And then I've got like processing it through WMD filters and envelopes as well. And then I use clouds to give it kind of some richness. And then I either sequence it with the MPC or I'm obviously playing it live.
Right. And so, okay, so and then when you were playing the MIDI controller, were you playing the modular at that point?
Yep.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's so rad. I was really curious because I heard the arpeggiator kind of going on, and was that like when you were doing one of the things, was that arpeggiator coming from the MIDI controller, or is that a module in there?
Nope, that was coming from the MPC Live. So I switched it on to arpeggio in the middle of kind of that solo, and then was just able to kind of transition seamlessly.
Cool, that's awesome. And so, what were the chord sounds?
Sorry. Oh, like the module.
Or what were the chord sounds that we were hearing? Like
that's coming from the MPC. There's a pad synth that I use in the MPC that I really like.
Okay, nice.
And then I'll switch between chords between using my Korg Volca keys. I'll use like the fifth tones oscillator on that to get like just kind of that guitar kind of sound.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so I was curious about like arrangement and things like that. So do you, when you're switching between parts, are you mostly muting and unmuting parts, or is there like different sequence changes inside of the MPC? So going from one part of the song to the next?
So that's just me kind of manually bringing things in and out. I have to practice that because I'm not so good at my transitions. But yeah, it's just me manually bringing stuff in and out.
That's rad. Yeah, it sounded amazing to me. I thought that you might have had like a song mode going, or
for one of the songs, like the drum tracks, like I always kept switching between different sequences, kind of in time with the music, and then like I have two separate sequences. But yeah, for bringing the parts out, so basically all the parts are just playing 24/7, and then I have to manually bring them out to create the dynamics.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So how long does it take you to make an arrangement like that? Because to me, it seems like what you've got going on seems relatively planned.
So a lot, like I said, I'll keep all the stuff playing, and then I'll practice different dynamics and find things that I like. So to like make certain arrangements, it'll take me like just like a one session of just playing, and I can usually come up with something that to me sounds cool. A lot of the stuff I trash though, because like I'll listen to it, needlessly, and I'll be like, oh, that sounds like crap, and I won't ever do it. But usually it just takes like a day for me to put something, like more complex stuff. It'll take me longer to kind of practice.
Totally. And then it's all just about how you play it back, and you play it back probably a little different every time.
Yes, definitely.
That's super cool. So the emotion is really direction is coming, that's in the moment and driving what the arrangement's going to sound like. That's awesome.
Yes.
Last thing, what's the blue tape on your desk represent? Is that a map, or is that
no, it's me for my to give me my my notes for what needs to be like muted at the start of something, because I have just a tendency to forget. So it's just notes.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Only notes I can decipher.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's definitely how it goes with everybody. Everybody has their own way of doing it. Brian laughed at me one time because I showed up and I was like, "Here's my patch notes," and it was like the back of a receipt with some marker on it, and it was just like, "That's all you would use?" I'm like, "Yeah." But yeah, those are always helpful. So I was just curious about that. Well, again, thank you so much, Isaac. That
Yep.
was really, really awesome, and I'm really stoked that you have to be able to watch your progress. It's just been amazing,
Yeah,
and
it's
that
been
was super.
awesome. I've got all you guys to learn from, so I appreciate you guys as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, again, thank you. Thanks
Thanks.
everybody for hanging out with us, and we've got a ton more performers, so don't go anywhere. Up next is Null Phi Infinity. Yeah. Everybody, Null
Can you
Phi
hear me?
Infinity. Yeah, what's up, man?
What's up?
Oh, that was awesome. That was a full-on journey.
Thank you.
Yeah, really appreciate you playing.
Always happy to.
So I was curious about how everything was tied together. So basically, in the beginning, you had this big bass growl sound, and it was on like a slow LFO, and is what it sounded like to me. And it's growing in intensity and coming back down. Was that an LFO controlling all of that, or was that manually controlled?
I think that was probably manual.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it seemed like as everything got bigger, everything got more intense, but the one sound that was kind of everything was centered around, like the big bass tone, was just going up and down as far as filtering goes, or something like that.
There was a little bit of modulation that I kind of brought in and out, actually, coming
Okay.
from the diode chaos from Schwab.
Okay.
Schwab modular.
Time chaos. Cool.
But then I was also manually kind of moving it around at some points too. So it's
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
both.
Yeah, nice. Awesome. And then what were you using the key step to control?
That was kind of that high-pitched melodic sound, really the only melodic thing.
Yeah. Okay.
There was also that kind of like stuttery, like kind of arpeggiated thing, which was kind of mixed together with the drone, but I kind of brought that drone like in and out.
Okay. Yeah, and the like arpeggiator thing, what was controlling that?
That was the Ornament and Crime, but it was getting clocked by the Kitty Eyes Chaos module, so it's like
Sweet.
really chaotic. And then I actually switched it at some point towards the end to the random output from the Pico R&D.
Okay, cool. And so yeah, I had that one down. So then there was this big moment where everything kind of just like got more and more distorted, and it sounded like sample rate distortion. And I was wondering what effect was doing like the bit crushing sound was.
Yeah, that's the Pittsburgh modular crush.
Pittsburgh crush, awesome.
Yeah, that.
So did you just slowly turn that up too?
Yeah, I basically mixed that in really slowly, and then started messing with, because I love the sound of a highly resonant filter through a bit crush, because you can get all these kind of weird sweet spots.
Yeah, it almost gets like formanty at sometimes, right? Like it kind of has that like kind of sound. Yeah, I'm all about that too. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was just like I always try and picture things when I'm listening to music, and when I was listening to that, it's just I was just some sort of post-apocalyptic movie or like space show or something, and then when everything just gets so intense and everybody's starting to realize what's going on, that like just digital noise takes over. That was cool. That was super fun.
I really appreciate it. That's really the vibe I'm trying to go for too. So
absolutely, I thought you captured it very well. I was definitely in a trance. The chat, all the people in the chat were super stoked. Everybody's said the same thing. Like, are we trancing out now? And just that's what we're doing. So that was awesome. Thank you so much for playing.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thanks everybody for being here. This is Freq Boutique. This is number 44, and we do modular synthesizer performances. And up next, we have the Aefonic. It's been a while since this guy's been able to play, and I'm really excited for this set. So definitely stick around, and we'll be back soon. Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. Wow, Brian, that was amazing. Everybody, this is the Aefonic. And man, I'm just going to start out. If you can hear me, my first question is literally going to be, is the Lyra 8 synth, is that the longest you've kept a synth, like hardware synth, since you went modular?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
And I think I can hear you too. No, it's not the longest, but it's probably the most fun that I've had with a synth for a while.
Yeah, I feel like I've been talking to you about it for a while now.
Yeah, I've had it about 6 months, I think. A little bit more than that. Got it at the beginning of the lockdown, but it features in everything I do, and I just love it. And the best thing about it, sorry, I have to look at the camera up here. The best thing about it is that I can put it through my computer or effects pedals or whatever it might be, and it just changes its character, you know. So on that one, I've got a MIDI twister fighter thing here, you can see, and 2 or 3 of the controls here were controlling how much effect the lyra was getting from the effects that I was putting it through. So I was able to dumb it down or turn it up a little bit, you know. So it just makes it another instrument having that sort of thing.
That's awesome. So you have 2 sequencers, you have a Metron, you have a vector. So I was curious about how those are interacting. Like, is one drums, one melodic, or does it kind of change? Or
well, I guess I'm pretty simple, right? I see the Metron as a thing to just trigger percussion noises. I know that that's not necessarily what it does, and I have got a Volterra next to it, which isn't plugged in even. But that's how I use it. So I have
awesome.
I have a lot of percussion in here, mainly WMD percussion, but other things as well, and also sample percussion. And I use the Metron for that really, and
Right.
then the Vector does all of the melodic stuff. Even though I'm plugged into a computer which is behind me, you can't see it, but there's no sequencing going on the computer. It's simply sound going in, being affected, and coming back out again to the rig, and then going out to the speakers.
Okay.
So everything sort of happens in the rig apart from some effects, because it's just easier for me to get effects from the rig than putting big expensive boxes in, you know, in the
Absolutely.
in the Eurorack kit.
Yeah, I was curious. I saw you messing around with the Q+A, which is on like far to the left, right? The mixer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Were you just working on audio stuff
Actually,
there?
I wasn't messing around with it. I was messing around with the DRM1 that's above it. There's a drum machine above it, an analog drum machine, and that was making most of the drum stuff that you heard.
Okay.
With the exception of one sampled kick drum noise in there, the drums were all coming from the DRM1, which is racked up above the Q+A. So when I was reaching over there, I was actually messing with the volume on the DRM1, not messing with the Q+A.
Okay, interesting.
In live gigs, I wouldn't mess with the mixer. I'll just leave that alone.
Well, I thought you might be using effects on there, so that's what I was wondering.
No, I don't use effects on the mixer at all. Everything goes through the mixer, back into the DAW, and then back out again.
Cool. So as far as like the pads and stuff go, were those mostly samples being played, or were those being made like live?
A variety. So there was an underlying sample, 2 samples actually. That what you just heard essentially was 2 songs that I made into one. You probably heard that it switched in the middle. Probably people don't know that, but I know that. That's how it works for me. And so there were 2 pads there. One, there was the opening pad that you heard. That was coming from the computer. Actually, it wasn't a sample. It was actually a software synth, a Poly 6 software synth noise. And then I switched halfway through to a different chord on the same thing. That was the only thing that was coming largely from there. Other stuff were the Demon. Some that you heard was the Demon chord oscillator that I've got in here.
Okay.
So that was doing some polyphonic type stuff, and I can't remember what else is in there. Again, a lot of what you can do, I can put single tones back into the computer and then switch the frequency up a little bit to make it sound polyphonic, even though it's not really polyphonic. It's just frequency shift,
Right.
as it were. So I've been doing quite a lot of that. That was happening on the Lyra a lot. and I could impact that with this one button here. I could either turn that off or turn it up more to make the lyra sort of polyphonic, or turn it off to make it, just completely monophonic, which is what it is naturally.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's the MIDI fighter is controlling what then? Like,
It's controlling the computer, the effects on the computer via controller messages. So I'm simply turning them up and turning them down. Typically things like mix or whatever the frequency might be, or something like that. Nothing ultra special, or even on and off. I've got a couple of things here on and off. You heard there were some squeaky noises in there. That was the data bender, which is in the rack. But I have it going through the computer, so I mute it on and off using the MIDI twister fighter thing, because you don't really want that on all the way through. It gets a bit too annoying, but it's quite nice in little pieces to have little bits of that squeaky, bleepy noise coming through. So I mute that on and off using this, and I've also got a volume control on it, so I can turn it down because sometimes it can get a bit wild. So,
yeah, okay. That's crazy. So you're totally like you are integrated into the computer. You're using it for effects. You're multi-tracking into it, right?
Yeah. Everything's going through there and then back out again to the mixer. And
Yeah.
you're just reminding me I forgot to record what I just did. Oh well,
Man.
You've done it. Never mind.
Every time. And then last thing, the launchpad, that's controlling the vector, right?
No. It could, but in this instance, it's not. It's controlling some stuff on the door. I've got like a few clicky noises, and again, all the way through, you probably noticed there's some background clicky type rhythm noises.
Yeah.
Because the two bits that I just did, you'll notice they were all 4/4, but they were out of time with each other. You notice it switched sort of beat halfway through.
Right.
So I have different clicky noises that create percussion elements on the door, and that's what this is doing. It allows me to bring them in and out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's one thing that I really appreciate about using the DAW. In any, you can use it because you can use it for anything. I like that I can use it as a sampler, whether I'm just playing clips or just like triggering one shots with a drum machine or with a drum pad. I like that I can make that and that I don't have to buy an SP404 to make that happen. I appreciate
I tell you what, though, your point was dead right about the vector. You probably saw me messing around with the vector a lot because there was a lot of sequence changes there. The problem is I had to do them manually. It means you have to go into the track, you have to select the sequence, and as you well know, in a live environment, sometimes you can get that wrong, and it's all a little bit challenging. It would have been a million times easier if I'd had a second launch pad where I could just hit them, because it works really well like that. And I was a bit torn about how to use this because I've only got the one, but it would have been great if I'd had two, because I wouldn't have had to mess around with the vector as much as I did.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And also, so I was wondering one more thing. Are you, as far as your structure goes, are you doing that all by feel as well and just changing when you feel that it feels right? Or is there a certain length that you try to adhere to that you've practiced?
Well, I knew how long this set was, but no, other than that, I have a rough idea in my head what it needs to be. I know what all the bits are, and I just use feel to sort of like bring them in and take them out, and hope that generally I'm roughly on time. As you well know, the transitions are the hardest thing. So, dropping things out when things have been going for a while and then bringing new things in, I sort of do it by feel really. But, keeping an eye on the fact that needed to be about 25 minutes long.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's just something to that I've been noticing and I've been really excited about with Eurorack and just performance in general is, the idea of being able to not adhere to the script. And that was the reason I got into this in the beginning. But then I started being more and more like, I should just really practice certain things. And I've been really appreciating that level of just I'm just gonna let it happen and see what goes on. And if I feel like I need to add something, I'll do that. But
I think when you get A, the skill, which you've definitely got, and B, the confidence to do that. It's brilliant. I'm sort of getting better at it. I'm not there yet by any means,
Sounds
but
like you're there to me, man.
but I'm doing a lot more of it on the fly rather than pre-preparing. I still have my notes. You probably saw them. I had like a book of notes here, but
I
that
was
used to
gonna
be.
ask how many pages.
I was going to say that used to be 4 pages. Now it's half a page for each of the sections I did. So that's a step forward, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
I'll have it on the back of a receipt yet. Don't think I won't.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the most effective. I think it's just a list.
The problem is I've got so many little bits I forget. It's not so much I don't actually cue the things. They're there to remind me that I've got all of these things. Because once I get into it, I can quite often forget that there's like 3 parts that I never even use, you know?
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the reasons why they get long is if you have all those parts, you can easily just stick on one part and have as good of a time to yourself, but you can make it way more interesting, and you'll also be disappointed if you don't get there, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. If you've written them, you sort of want to play them, don't you? But
Yeah,
sometimes it
exactly.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter sometimes.
Right. Well, thank you so much for playing. That was awesome.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for hanging out. We have 3 more performers, so don't go anywhere. We're just going to get right into this next one. Up next is Drift Diffusion. Wow, that was awesome. That one was totally like a really nice build. We got taken away for a while, and then just came back, and he brought in the drums from before, kind of just brought us back to the familiar plane, and that was super sick. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little quiet, and I hear some reverb.
Let's try that. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Should I go louder?
If you can, a little bit.
Yeah. How's that? Better?
Yeah, that's good.
Cool.
Yeah. So thank you, Charlie. That was awesome, everybody. This is Drift Diffusion, and I was so we had talked. I think you sent me a text last night. Said you had you were worried and you had no sequencing or something.
I don't know that I was quite worried. I was more just feeling like lazy, and I didn't want to do the sequencing altogether, just like a little bit. So at a certain point, I was like, well, I've had the melody. I'll just play it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really think that really brought it to what it is and what it was. It was really, the whole thing felt very emotional, and you definitely were in control of all of the builds and everything all the time. So I thought it was probably a good exercise in simplicity and just, keeping it simple, I guess.
Yeah, it's funny because you take complicated samples and then it makes it simpler.
Right. So what samples were you using then?
So the drum samples are my friend from Phoenix. I think he's in the chat right now. Is Artie Pumpkins. But way back in high school, we used to. I guess we still kind of do it when it happens. But we played in a band, just guitars, drums, weird stuff. So I got him to give me a couple of samples. The first one was kind of, in his words, in 1/4.
Okay.
And then second one was the last one there, and that one was a little more organized. I think I took a loop of something, but it's a little more organized.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, and it kind of stemmed from a thing. I've got a thing with some other friends that we call Quarantine Radio, and we just sit on Zoom once a week and play stuff for each other, either mostly just Spotify playlists and stuff, but sometimes performing. And a week or two ago, we had a noise week, and so that's kind of where some of this idea started.
Yeah, that's awesome. So someone asks, tell us about the Metron sequencer usage. Did you use expansions like Volterra? I saw you using the offset with Volterra.
Yeah, all Volterra was doing was just convenient control for zones in a simulator for the samples. So there are at 8 different drone samples, and then just the 2 drum samples. But Volterra is just really nice because I know exactly what voltage I need, so
totally. You know the threshold, and Volterra gives you the display.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's rad.
That's all it was doing. That wasn't sequenced at all. That was just literally just there because it's a voltage that I can control to a T. Metron, I had a track in it just for pre-saved that was literally just for the reset on the sequencer to really just move it along from one set to the next set, which there was only 2 sets.
Right.
And the delay clocking. Everything else I just programmed on the fly. So
cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I was wondering about that. Were you using the assignables on Metron?
No. Just.
Oh, okay. Because there was a point where it got super chaotic and everything started to sound like things were being reset at different spots, and it sounded like there was a lot of looping going on. Was that just a variation that you had already made, or?
No. So that first drum sample is 45 seconds, just stream of consciousness drumming. Jordan's an amazing drummer. Sorry.
Yeah.
Still shouting out. But no, so
shout out.
I basically one of the faders on the fader bank is controlling the start point of the sample. Another one was kind of controlling speed, so you got some of those weird variations. Another one was controlling how much into the delay. And basically, I was just manually, like, especially for like when I got kind of like tribal drumming, repetitive, like I just went in and like just kept modifying it until I found something that worked in that way.
That's dope.
And then also choosing multiple trigger points within Metron to actually re-trigger it, so to kind of give it all these
Right, give it more of a rhythmic feel.
Yeah. So, and not just quarter notes, just there were whatever.
Right. Well, yeah. If you start it over, I guess it gets you could make it a little bit more repetitive that way.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. That sounded really cool.
Thanks.
And then, so you had the real drums. I thought that they were samples from your keyboard, and I was like, damn, you made that keyboard sound really good.
No, the keyboard's only just a MIDI controller for Synchrodyne.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's just...
Yeah, that's awesome.
I did not want to program that, and then I started programming it, and it didn't have that... It felt too machine-like, so I just...
Yeah.
Yeah, that was part of the laziness of programming.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Not programming. But yeah, no, this is kind of reflective of... It's funny, we're talking about it with Brian about just... I mean, because we kind of talked about it too a little bit, but like the kind of just going in and going with the flow, and at a certain point, it kind of just embraced that and said, well, we'll just see how.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like what I've been learning the most as of right now. Is like the most effective things, like, is just your intuition, and just like feeling that and knowing when you want to go next. And when you're playing a live set, like whether it's in front of people where you can actually see their reaction or online, it's still like, it's all about that. That's what feels like it gives it purpose. And I mean, everybody tonight so far has done that. That's kind of been the philosophy, and it's been cool to watch because it's actually super effective. Yeah, and that's great.
Yeah, I'm definitely just kind of embrace some of the weird things that happen and go with it.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for playing.
Doing the background stuff. And yeah, you're welcome.
Absolutely. Yeah, huge shout out to Christoph, Monoscene, behind the scenes, running all of this, making us look super cool. We've definitely leveled up since last month, and I'm super thankful to him. That was all him and David Soto, Colorado Modular Synth Society, Sign Mountain. And yeah, it's just been a really cool experience seeing everybody come together and help me make this event just that much better for y'all and for us all to be a part of. So again, thanks to Monoscene and Side Mountain both for helping me out. Also, Mike Butler, My Doll Finger, thank him so much. He's been doing all the art. He's been kind of doing the direction as far as the Instagram stuff. And huge thanks to him. And just everybody's kind of helping level this thing up. And that's been really cool, right? Like, we are a community, and the community has been reaching out and helping me make this a better event. And I'm so, so thankful. Yeah, so we're going to keep on moving. And we have 2 more performers, so don't go anywhere. Pour yourself a beverage, maybe a nice cold glass of water, maybe some warm milk. I don't know, whatever you're into. Get yourself a beverage, get comfortable, and keep hanging out with us. Up next, we have Current Fantasy.
considerable new message. A considerable new message. The current fantasy.
Cheers, everybody. That was Current Fantasy.
Hello.
Yo,
How's it going?
I'm doing great. How are you? That was super fun.
Oh yeah, I'm doing good. That was great.
Yeah, so we had a question about how much of that was improvised versus not.
A good amount of the there was a bunch of stuff programmed into my Digitact, which I did earlier today, just kind of on the fly. When I wind up doing a stream, I like to come up with something just immediately before it.
Yeah.
If I can, just almost down to the wire sometimes, where the last kind of I'm tuning everything up to the last second. So
Yeah, totally.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that I like to do that too. I think that I don't know. I always wrote papers late, but I always was stoked on the result. It's kind of the same idea.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a super procrastinator, so doing things at the last minute is, I guess, how it works
If you get
for
in
me.
the habit, then if you're good at that, then that's what you got to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone asked how much was samples versus VCOs, and after we ask this question, I'll get into a little bit more.
Samples was I had like a kick and snare going off the Digitact and a hat, and yeah, the rest was all synthesizers.
Cool.
Aside from there was like a couple vocal things in there.
Okay, right on. So
yeah.
So this is my first time seeing you, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's your first time on Freq Boutique, so definitely welcome.
For sure.
Thank you so much for playing.
No problem.
Every time I feel like I see a new person for the first time, I'm looking through their rig, trying to figure out what's going on, but it's a lot harder to decipher. So I was just gonna ask you to do a quick rundown of like what section does like what sounds. So I saw you have a grandmother, maybe it's a Mofo XL.
Yep. It's the X4.
Yeah, X4. That's what I'm gonna say. Yeah, that. And then you have a boatload of modular, and then the samples and the digitone, or is that digitact?
Yeah, I got both.
Oh, you have both. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
So maybe just a quick rundown on what you're kind of using each piece for.
Oh, yeah. So,
Might be too much, but
it's funny. It's like when I started off doing this a while ago, I kind of would go out and play. I've always I started off playing live more than I would playing at home. I just go out and find it somewhere, friend's bar, to make some noise at night. And so I started off just with a lot of stuff pre-programmed into the Digitact. And then through the last 8 months of, this lockdown, it's turned a lot more into, just starting fresh.
right,
Almost every time.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
But for the different pieces, I have like a Roland SEO2 in there that kind of like handles a lot of the bass stuff.
Okay.
There's a Manther as well,
Yeah,
which I haven't got into the bass yet sound on it, but it's just that glide on it. It's so unique to those machines.
Totally. And then in the modular, I saw that you had it looks like you have 2 or 3 Moog pieces.
Yeah, I got the 3 of them.
Okay, so there's 3. There's
Subharmonicon, the DFAM, and the Mother 32.
Okay, cool. So all those have their own sequencing.
Yeah.
Then you have 2 more sequencers. You have a Metropolis.
Yeah.
You have 3 more sequencers. You have Metropolis, the voltage block, and the chips one. I don't know what that's called.
The Varigate 4 Plus.
So you have Varigate 4, and then you have
Yeah.
the one that you touch too. The
yeah. I got that in a trade. It's the cells. It's like a little mini Renee sort of. It's awesome.
Right. So were you using all of those in this performance, or were some of those not?
Yeah, I mean, so far the way that I do it is I just kind of get as much stuff set up and go back and forth between, as many different voices as probably too many, but
Yeah, cool. So each sequencer kind of has its own voice that it's in charge of. Then.
Yep.
Okay, sweet.
And then the KeyStep Pro as the because I'm a keyboard player. So I like having the keyboard interface there.
Yeah.
But that's got 4 sequencers on it as well.
Okay, crazy. So were you playing keys live?
Yeah, I've played as a professional touring piano organ player for the last 20 years.
So
I
yeah,
was doing that full time.
Okay.
Until March.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
So you're playing with bands?
Yep.
And touring?
Yeah, playing and recording and touring and nonstop.
Yeah, wild. That's crazy. Yeah. So now you've been so coming into the studio, this is a whole kind of new ball game, and it's just like.
Yeah, it is and it isn't. I mean, I started off as a synth guy in the 80s. Depeche Mode, New Order,
totally.
and Sonic ESQ1 and then RX7, and that's how I got into playing. Then I got into the Grateful Dead, got seduced by rock and roll for a bunch of years. I knew that when I'd get back into synthesizers, it would get like messy like this.
Right.
So this is only a couple years of.
Yeah, totally. So doing the full on sequencing thing, that's not as new as that's not new for you. You were sequencing and stuff back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah,
cool.
It's neat. It's like I look back at a picture of me when I was 14 playing, at keyboards in a mall. And I was basically doing the same thing.
That's amazing.
That I was doing here.
Yeah, I just think about how late I learned about sequencing, and it's so silly. I was like 25 or something. It's like, come on, dude. I don't know if I was that old, but it was still just like I had been making music for a long time. Then I had been making electronic music for 3 or 4 years, but I was still just like everything was just recorded. I couldn't figure out sequencing. And then that's such a big part of it and a big part of putting it all together. So that's one thing I was appreciative of is seeing it's fully DAW-less, but there's so many components and cross-platform, right? Or cross-platform, I guess is a good word.
Yeah. Mix it all in there. Yeah, format.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you can cross-format and that's something that I think when you're getting started is just like hard to understand where you need to go or how to do it, and when you get to that level where you have this big studio of all the things interconnected, I think that's a question that a lot of people ask right away is, well, how is it all connected, and how do you know about
Good
that?
question.
It's like research and then just doing it, and you've done it, so that's where you're at. So master clock, where is that coming from? What is the
So the master clock starts from the Digitact, so I can set the tempo there, and then I run that into the KeyStep Pro, and then I run that into a Tempi, and the Tempi sends it around everywhere else.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then you were playing is that the grandmother or is that the other one? Okay.
The grandmother, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were, and I've been hearing that, and it's definitely piquing my interest every day. Were you using its onboard arpeggiator at times?
Yeah.
Okay. And arpeggiator, not sequencer?
No, yeah, I love the sequencer in it. I use it a lot, but it was just the arpeggiator today.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just curious about that. The sequencer is pretty simple, right? Is that like a SH101 style thing, or?
Yeah, you just input and you can rests and ties and everything, but it's super good. Yeah,
totally. I'm just trying to read through some comments, make sure we didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we got it all. That was so great. It's really fun to have people from all over. You're in Toronto, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you so much for staying up late with us. It's like 11:30 there right now.
It is late. It feels like it's past my bedtime.
Yeah, it's funny, like this whole quarantine thing, all the parties that we used to throw on Monday night, we did it at the Freq Boutique, we did them at 8 because that was early. And then we did our patched out party. We did it at 10 because that was like late-ish, or we did it at 9, I guess. But then quarantine hit, and it's like all the parties are like, yeah, we're doing it at 5 p.m. tonight.
Yeah.
Everything's like much earlier. So I've been like, I follow the dance DJs and stuff, and they're playing at like 5 p.m. and it's like, man, my schedule is totally different.
Yeah, when gigs do come back, this new going to bed early, getting up early, Jeff is going to have a good argument with used to stay up till 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Jeff.
I've been interested in this. So the gigs that are happening, there are some people that are doing some gigs around our town at least. And mostly in like jam band music, stuff like that, and singer-songwriter stuff and indie rock, but maybe some electronic music. But those people they're keeping it going, but it's all about it's all still that vibe at 5 p.m., Yeah. And so a lot of these people they're saying, okay, well, instead of booking like 4 bands, because we have to get people in and out, we're just going to do 2 sets or maybe 3 sets. And now they try and turn over the club as many times as they can, because the club is, a street or a sidewalk in front of the venue, and they can host 30 people. So they're like, okay, we got to get people in and out to make it worth it.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's something that's going to stick around, because that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Early sets, 1 band all night, but like, do a couple different sets throughout the night and serve dinner and that whole thing. It's like, it's kind of a new, I mean, it's not really new. It's just kind of new to the rock scene, I guess. It's, it's like jazz has been doing it forever, but.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I've always been a fan of shows starting earlier. And, like, it's just people accepting the change and like, oh, what shows happen early now? And, actually going out and remembering that going to see live music is something that they should be doing.
Right, yeah, you're going actually to see it. You're not just going to fucking yell at somebody like, across the hall because you're excited to see them. It's crazy.
That's one of the reasons I've kept playing. Like I had a regular Sunday gig in Toronto through the whole fall, and just I was playing just to keep people reminded that live music is, here.
Yeah.
People forget quick, so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we're all just support your venues, support your local communities that you hang out at. Fort Greene is opened, so that's our bar that we do things at. If you can get to Fort Greene, definitely go out, hang out on the patio. They do have an open air tent. They're covered, but it's open air, and then they've got a couple of heaters, and they're doing things to make it fun out there. So if you can, make sure to go out to Fort Greene, support your local watering holes as much as you can, as well as your restaurants and venues. I mean, we've had like 2 or 3 venues shut down this week, and it's going to be a hit to our scene. It's really sad.
Yeah, we lost our local modular shop here, too, right away. Yeah, Moog Audio was a great store, and it folded.
Oh, really? So
yeah, in the
they're
spring.
only in Montreal?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I've ordered a bunch of stuff from them, but it's not the same as.
Oh, I know. And that's something we talk about here. I mean, like, there have been attempts to do modular stores here, and like we've all thought about it. And then there was like, okay, maybe it's gonna happen, in March, and it was just like, well, I guess not. Like spring's rolling around, someone might do it, and then probably not.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for playing. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
Absolutely. Thanks everybody for hanging out. And we've got one more performer, so we'll just get right into it. Up next is Paul City. Party on. Damn, that was quick. So dope. Don't have
Can you hear me?
the most. Hey, dude. Don't
Hey,
have
what's
the
up,
most
man?
questions written down because I was just partying.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I'm like, man, I just like, I look around and I'm like, oh yeah, I am here, sitting here alone, and it would be really rad to be able to dance on a dance floor. That was super cool.
Thanks, man.
So I was wondering, so the Magneto is a new addition to your rig, and how is that patched up? How's that patched into everything?
So I have the neutron, and I have a noise voice going through it, but really just basically the neutron to the magneto. It's a straight in line right now.
That's it.
I mean the neutron to the magneto, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I thought. And then you have, but then you were doing some like clave stuff, where it was like 808 clave with a bunch of delay on it, and I was curious where that was coming from. Is that just delay inside of the Digitac?
Yeah, some of those samples I just have delay on, like some of the shakers or like the rim shots. That's just
Totally.
delay in the Digitac. I do have the SH01 boutique going through the Doppler delay, and so that had a little extra delay on it.
Cool. Yeah, I mean the bass lines are super dope. You've got lots of movement with that. I think that, you know, I've been talking about simplicity. I've been talking about just feeling it and making things happen. And you're really you're really showing that as that's a huge strength, and that is something that, you know, I've noticed, you know, streams past, and my last time I was over at your guys' house doing your Friday night stream, which Mason says the Friday night stream on the Vino Malo channel will be resume on January 8th. So everybody subscribe to Vino Malo's channel, and you'll be able to see Paul City and Vino Malo play more. But yeah, I was just curious about that because I've been talking about simplicity and keeping things just simple, right? And one of the things about what you were able to do with the simple setup is focus on the content within each part, so that way each part leads into the next part, and that's super important.
Yeah, definitely. I think it just makes it easier to a certain point when you keep things simple, even though it can be hard to kind of limit yourself to a certain point too.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the cool things about limiting yourself to hardware in general, right? That's one of the things I think a lot of people talk about is going DAW-less because you don't want to stare at a screen or whatever. It's also the limitations that are added by doing that. And as soon as you build your system to a point, I mean, I'm sitting in front of one right now. When you have a system to a point where it's almost as limitless as a DAW, you still run into those same creative restrictions. And I think that just like limiting yourself into, you know, 3 or 4 parts is one of the ways that you can make those parts super effective. And you've been really showing that, like you've been figuring that out. And that's one of the reasons why your sets are super interesting, even though you've only got a couple sounds being played. So
Yeah,
I
thanks. I mean, I think some of my friends kind of showing me like a synth with a synth and stuff, but yeah. Obviously it's one of the deals.
No, dude, you're just crushing it. You've got the feeling. You really got the feeling of pacing things and putting things into a good structure, but then not trying too hard to make something really, really big. It's just like, no, this is what it is, and it's super dope. What's sequencing the neutron? Is that all from Digitac?
Yeah, so Digitac is doing all my sequencing. I have the mutant brain, and so I'm running either, you know, MIDI or the MIDI to the mutant brain to have basically clocked everything straight from that. That's doing all the drums, all the sequencing. You know, pretty much I wasn't doing that much on the SH. It was just kind of a little extra and stuff, and all the bass was from the neutron.
Totally.
And that was pretty straight through. I have it, you know, going through like the select and the SPO to modulate the filter a little more, but it's pretty much a straight, you know, the neutron through the magneto.
Right. Right on. Well, thank you so much for playing, dude. I really appreciate it. That was an awesome
Yeah, it
set.
was fun. Thank you guys. I mean, thank you and Christopher for this on. It's always awesome for sure.
Yeah, dude. No problem. We're stoked. It's always so inspiring to get to see what everyone's doing. So yeah, thanks everybody for being here. That was Freq Boutique. That was Paul City. If you'd like to sign up to play next month's event, go to coloradomodular.com. There is a link there, and you can see the link on the bottom of the screen right now, showing you the sign-up link. And basically how it works is you sign up there, and then a week before the event, hopefully a week, as long as I'm on schedule, I will be doing, I do a random choose performers at random 1 week before, and then I send everybody who got chosen an email. And then those people just make sure that you confirm if you get chosen, and then we will and then we put it together. As far as if you do not get selected, your name stays in the pot, so you can sign up again and get 2 names in the pot, just kind of like the lottery system. So the more times you don't get chosen and you keep signing up, the better chance you have to play. But just keep in mind that if you do sign up once and you don't get chosen, you may get chosen again. So this is one of those things where we're really trying to keep people practiced and ready and just feeling good. We're trying to keep people playing music, right? I guess that's the important part, is that you are playing music, having fun, and just keeping going. So if you'd like to sign up, that's there. And earlier we had a link for Fort Greene, which is our home when we can be in person doing this. When we continue on and go back there, we will continue to stream. We've always streamed, and we will probably figure out some ways to keep our community as large as it has grown, which is just, again, so cool. But yeah, check out Fort Greene, fortgreenedenver.com, their Instagram as well, and support them in any way you can. If you just go there, you can get a drink, you can buy gift cards. You can also just go there and buy, like, they have wine, and then they've also got a new little shop set up that you can buy glassware and different kinds of bottles of booze and some plants and some cool houseware kind of things. So definitely remember to support our home as much as you possibly can. And thanks everyone again for being here. This has just been a super fun night. Thanks for chatting and hanging out with us. And we'll see you guys next time in the new year. So I didn't even think about that. This is the last stream of the year. So happy holidays to you, and happy new year. And we'll see you the second Monday of January. Peace out.